The date is January 30th, 1948. India has just gained independence in the year prior. The Indian independence movement leader Mahatma Gandhi would unknowingly to him be shot dead. But in order to tell that story, we need to go back. Where do we go back to? Let's start at the beginning. In 1858, the English colonized India. 11 years later, the man who would free India would be born. Mahatma Gandhi, born Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, was born into a rich Hindu family. He was shy and did not socialize with other kids. Every morning he went to school on time and ran back home as soon as school was over. His books were his best friends and he spent all his free time alone reading. He was very religious at a young age and was very open about the love for the religion of Hinduism. He also had an interest in law and in 1888 went to study law in London, England. He found it difficult to adjust to the diet as England at the time wasn't very friendly about vegetarian diets. In early 1893, Gandhi went to South Africa to practice law under a one-year contract, but was subjected to heavy racism due to the laws that restricted the rights of Indian laborers in South Africa at the time. In July 1914, 21 years after arriving in South Africa, Gandhi left South Africa to return to India. He supported the British war effort in World War I, but remained critical of colonial authorities for measures he felt were unjust, of which there was a pretty decent amount of them. His reason for staying in South Africa for so long was to help fight discrimination, which would do little in the efforts of ending discrimination in South Africa, which would end in 1994. Gandhi wanted independence for India due to the economic exploitations going on there, causing great benefit for the tiny British minority, and not much for all the other people of India. The beginning of resistance in India started in 1857 when the British started occupying India. But resistance didn't really start to kick off till 1930, when a massive boycott of salt began, known as the Salt March. Gandhi began leading a peaceful resistance to resist the British occupation. This would often involve him fasting for many days at a time, causing him to become very skinny and frail as he's seen in pictures of him. On a few occasions, he was arrested, which would give him reason to fast. Eventually, after years of protest and the Indian involvement in World War II, India gained independence and saw it divided into two countries, Muslim Pakistan to the northwest and India. Gandhi devoted himself to creating peace between Hindus and Muslims. This leads us to the events of January 30th, 1948. While walking to his prayer meeting in the lawn of Birla House in New Delhi, India, he was shot by a Hindu extremist, Thuram Godse, I think that's how you say it. The shooter of Mahatma Gandhi was arrested at the scene of the crime, and a trial court sentenced Godse to death a year after the assassination. He was executed by hanging in November of 1949. After his death, Gandhi inspired worldwide civil rights movements and helped influence the civil rights movement of the United States, which began in 1954. His influence is still around today and remains a symbol of peace, prosperity, and a key figure in Indian history.